Welcome to a problem in which we're trying to, we got the function cosine inverse of 3x and we want to know the derivative of it. And you see the answer there. So how do we do it? Well, let me give you the inverse function. Tan inverse, by the way, that's the same as arctan. Tan inverse, arctan, same thing. Say in arctan or inverse tan. The derivative of arctan is 1 over 1 plus x squared. And the derivative of inverse sine of x, the derivative is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And then the derivative of inverse cosine is negative 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So there they are. So there's the three derivative rules for inverse trig functions. So inverse tangent, inverse sine, inverse cosine. So, okay. So now on this problem, it's pretty. So if you could have any of the three, so I'm going to do this one. So if I have y equals, or f of x, let's call it f of x, whatever. F of x equals cosine inverse of 3x, then what's the derivative going to be? So now here's the prime, the derivative. So actually, let me just change the color for extra emphasis. So the derivative equals, well, we're going to follow this formula right here. Now the question is, though, what do we do about 3x? Because we have a formula over here for the cosine inverse of plane x. So how do you deal with 3x? Well, you just stick a 3x right there, right? So remember, whenever they give us a formula in math or science, like these three formulas, whenever they give us a formula in math or science and they give an x, that means that x is just holding a spot. So you could put anything in. You could put 2w or 5z or whatever, and then that'll go right over here. I think you know that. So following that rule, then the derivative will be minus 1 over the square root of 1 minus, and then this will be 3x, the whole thing squared, just like it's x squared, but it's 3x, the whole thing squared, like that. But hold on, that's not the whole answer. Why not? Because the inside is not a simple x. When the inside is not a simple x, it's 3x, then we what? Must use the chain rule. You always have to do the chain rule whenever the inside is not a simple x. What does the chain rule say? Do you remember the chain rule? Chain rule says that if you have an outer function, here, let me. So if you have an outer function and an inner function, then the derivative is the outer function, keep the inside the same, times the derivative of the inner function. So I got to go times the derivative of the inner function. What's the derivative of 3x? It's just 3, right? Because there's an invisible 1 power that comes down, subtract 1, the x goes away. It's just 3. So then you can type it in just like this. It probably a little cleaner to say, look, this is 3 over 1, so that 3 will go to the top. So that's the nice way we'd see it. So the answer will be minus 3 over the square root of 1 minus. And then you could square that 3x to be 9x squared. And there we go. And that's how they do. They put the minus in the front or the top. That's the same thing, top or front, whatever. Same thing. So that's how we do the derivative. So you have to remember then when the inside of any function, now this is not just true for inverse sine, cosine, tangent. This is true of any function anywhere at any time. If you're taking the derivative and the inside, you have one little, if the inside is anything other than a simple x, if this was just plain x, then you don't need to do the chain rule. But if the inside is not a simple x, then you must use the chain rule, which says do the derivative of the outside, keep the inside the same at first, then go times the derivative of the inside, chain rule. So there we go.